Hello friends! The rain has stopped for a little bit. We're in a rainy pattern here in South Alabama. So I thought it might be fun to talk about what specific varieties of tomatoes and peppers I am growing this season, since I'll be leaving the garden for a little bit and who knows what I'll have when I get back. So I wanted to show you guys how everything is growing so far. So I thought it might be easier for me to show you the seed packets first, and then we'll go and look at the actual plants. So I have Sungold, one of my absolute favorites. Grow this every year. It's just always the first to produce, last to produce, very hardy, and I think they are delicious, just like candy. Next we have Inca Jewels. This is a container variety. My second year growing these. I'm really happy with how they produced last year. Couple new ones for me from Haas, a red snapper hybrid tomato. Again, I'm down here in South Alabama where it's very hot and humid, which of course wreaks havoc on tomatoes. So I try to find things that are going to be happy in this environment. Then we have Florida 91, another new to me. Shelby, again new to me. And Neptune, you can't really see what this is. I grew this last year and it was okay, so I'm giving it another trial this year. So I have Sungolds in two places because they really want to trellis. They are an indeterminate, so that just means they're gonna continue to grow and vine. So I like to put them on a cattle panel trellis. I have them here growing with a flowering parsley, which seems to be going just great, producing lots of flowers and tomatoes. Now I am really battling leaf-footed bugs, so unfortunately I've lost some fruit. I don't think I have any. Oh, there's one that's starting to turn. I also have flea beetles, and I'm gonna do a whole post on pests, so we'll talk more about that. But yeah, really happy with Sungolds. Like I said, these guys always produce first, and they're like the last ones to keep going as well. Pretty disease resistant. I don't want to jinx myself, but in this hot humid climate they do great. I also grow these in Pennsylvania garden and they do great up there too. And here I'm zone, what am I now, 9A, and I think Pennsylvania is like 5B, so you can really grow them pretty much anywhere. I also have them growing over here, a couple with some cornichons, and they've been doing really well with these guys too. Let me spin around here so you can see better. And what's been great about growing them with a little cucumber is that it's kind of just been like a natural trellising. The cucumber kind of just keeps them pulled in towards for the most part, so I haven't really had to tie these guys to the trellis, so that's been super fun. Plus you get these super cute little tiny cornichons. I'm hoping you guys will be able to see all of this. I grow pretty intensively, meaning pretty tight together, but yeah, so here we have the Inca, and like I mentioned, this is a paste style tomato. Here you can see this guy, and I've covered up a lot of my tomato fruit. Again, I have horrible leaf hoppers, or leaf-footed bugs, excuse me, so trying to stay ahead of those guys. But I already have an Inca that has turned red, so that is super cool, and they let off a lot of fruit. I got some new fruit coming as well. And I like these because these are a determinate slash dwarf variety. So as you can see, they stay pretty small. This is actually the Inca here, sorry. It's a pretty small plant. I also have one over here in a grow bag. Now there's another volunteer cherry tomato next to him. So don't want to get that confused. But yeah, these stayed pretty small and tidy, which I love. Another thing that I wanted to do in my garden was do just dwarf or determinate varieties minus the Sungolds on the trellis. Next we have red snapper. Again, another sort of short tomato, dwarf slash determinate. My first time with this guy, but doing well. Have some good fruit set here. And again, I'm in South Alabama, so tomatoes are kind of tricky for me. But I got a couple nice ones on this plant, so happy with that. And so far, pretty good disease resistance. I do have a little bit of stuff going on here on the bottom, but I've had about an inch of rain every day, so that's to be expected. So excited to taste this one and see what it's like. Tucked back in here where this little green, or excuse me, purple bag has a tomato wrapped is the Florida 91. Nice size again. I have all short tomatoes this year, which is what I wanted. Pretty good fruit set. we'll see how that goes. Another new one to me. Not the most vigorous plant so far, but holding on to its own. So we'll see how the flavor is. And here we have Shelby. Again, I know my garden is a jungle. Not only do I have like alyssum planted everywhere, I have some late onions here on the side. Not sure if they're gonna do anything, along with, of course, basils and marigolds. I love just mixing in a ton of things, but here is the Shelby. Now this looks like a little bit more of a, paste style tomato. And this one's doing not bad. Has some fruit. Everybody's pretty much the same, honestly. Has some fruit started. This one's got some little babies too. So we're just gonna see how they maintain through the season and how the flavor is. And lastly, we have Neptune. This guy here. A little concerned about this darkening on the stems here. Can you see that? That might not be good. But again, quite a bit of fruit. So we will see what happens. Let me just back it up here and you can see, yeah, this is all of the majority of my tomatoes, and they're all pretty short and tidy. Do have another nice one over here in a grow bag. This guy looks really good. I forget which one he is. He is, I might need to tie him up a little bit better. This is another snapper. He's got a nice big one there. And this over here is another snapper, and he also has some pretty large fruit on him. So really excited to try that one. I think so far that one and the Inca are probably gonna be my standouts, not counting Sungold because she's always a standout, but we'll see. So that's my tomato lineup and what I have growing so far. I would love to know if you are growing any of those varieties, if you have grown any of those varieties, any thoughts you have. Also, if maybe there are some other tomatoes that you know like hot, humid weather, because I am still on the search for the perfect tomatoes for my area. But let's move on to the peppers. So I don't know about you guys, but I feel like my peppers have been super weird this year. And I say that just right from the get-go with seed starting. I had really weird germination. They were like slow to grow. Didn't really get great germination on some of them. And these are all mostly varieties that I've grown in the past. So not sure what's happening with peppers this year. And even now out in the garden, I do have a few that look great. And then the other ones are still, they're there and they're like hanging on, but they're like not thriving. So we'll just see what happens over the next few weeks. Sometimes I'm so hot, as I mentioned, I will maybe put shade cloth over once we get into like July if things are still out here and haven't already succumbed to pests and fungal diseases. But what will happen with my peppers is I'll get like a second flush. So they kind of go quiet, I like to say, in like the heat of the summer, and then they'll pick back up for the fall time. Because as you know, most things don't like to flower over like 90 degrees. So it's a real struggle in our climate in the summertime for peppers and tomatoes. But anyways, let's talk about what peppers I'm growing this year. So I have brown jalapeno. I've tried this before with not great success because I really want a large jalapeno for poppers. Pizza My Heart pepper. I love this pepper. Grew it last year. It was a standout. This year, it's kind of slow, but I'm hoping it picks up. Then we have Cubanelle. This is a new one for me. And California Wonder, the classic bell pepper, and Sunbright. So let's go ahead and see what they look like in the garden. And I know I mentioned this before, but I do have multiples. Just back to the tomatoes, I only showed like one of each, but I do have like multiples, I think, of every one. And some of them, even though I didn't show them all in grow bags, I try to do like at least one in ground and one in a grow bag, just to see if it makes a difference. I'm just crazy like that. So yeah, let's get to the peppers. So here we have a brown jalapeno, and sorry for the chicken wire, I'm trying to keep the turtles out of this bed. You can see this plant, let me try it this way. This plant, not very vigorous. We do have one little jalapeno on here, but yeah, not doing much. But if we come over here, I have him in a grow bag next to this tomato and the flowering oregano, and it's like a little rock star. Let's see if I can push all the oregano away. Can you see this? They're already starting to turn, and they are giant, just like I wanted. So super excited. Whoops, sorry. So this plant is just thriving. He is very happy here. Not sure why he's happier here than over there, but maybe there's just too much competition over here. I don't know, I might have planted too close. And then coming back over here, this is where I have the pizza pepper. I only got one of these guys to germinate, which is so weird. And he is right next to that brown jalapeno. Here he is. Whoops, sorry. And I do have one coming. So, you know what, maybe I'll just take this brown jalapeno out because he's struggling and give this guy more of a chance. And the calendula will be done soon because again, it's gonna be too hot for that. So yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna take this guy out so the pizza pepper has the best chance. And again, moving on to the cubanelles, it's really funny because all of my bag peppers are doing so much better. Oh, that's my cubanelle. Sorry, cubanelle's on this side. They're all doing better. Now this guy got a little pest damage, but he seems to be working himself out of it. But the bag peppers are all doing so much better than the in-ground peppers, which here is the same cubanelle. And he does have one coming, but nowhere near as nice a plant as the other one. And it's not as healthy green either, so I may need to just give these guys a little bit more fertilizer than the bags. And one pepper I forgot to mention is Aleppo pepper. I got this from a friend and I forgot to bring out the seed packet because it was small, but they're starting to flower. Oh, I just knocked that off. Whoops. That's okay, there's more coming. Back to this guy, this California Wonder. He's starting to set some fruit, little pest damage, but that's normal. He seems to be very happy in the grow bag. And it's kind of hard to tell, but there's a little tiny sunbright. Can you see it right there? In the Sungolds. So they're coming. They're just starting to flower. And then here's another brown jalapeno too. He's doing a little bit better than that other guy. So yeah, maybe it's just not a good spot for that one, but peppers are slowly coming. Like I said, not great, but the bag ones are really the rock stars. I mean, look at these. You can see those guys all the way from here. Beautiful. So overall, I think things are doing pretty well. I'm pretty pleased with how things are going. Another issue with this bed may be because I had brassicas in here before and I may just not have amended it enough for everybody since I have so much in here. So I'm gonna be a little more mindful and give these guys a little bit of extra fertilizer, especially with all the rain we've been having. I can't believe that I almost forgot to show you guys my volunteer tomatoes. So last year or 2 years ago, I grew Everglades tomatoes. They're a spoon type tomato and they grow great in the south, like the hot humid south where I'm at. Sorry, I'm struggling with my words here. It's still early in the morning, but yes, so they don't mind our hot humid weather. So I grew them and they just like went everywhere and I've had volunteers ever since. So what's crazy is I have so many volunteers. I noticed it back in the winter time. They were starting to poke up. I think around December, January, it was close to when we had all that crazy snow. So I rescued some of them and brought them inside with my other seeds. So I guess it might have been January, February, and brought them in with my other seeds starting. So that way they would have a chance. And then I covered a few up. So let me show you them. This bag is another Shelby, which is doing good. But then here is one of the volunteers. So I'm thinking that because I had them in a grow bag and I like to reuse soil, I must have, somehow the seed must have just got in the soil that I reused. I have no idea. But what's even more strange is that these aren't looking like the Everglade. So the Everglade is, like I said, a spoon tomato, and these are like cherry tomatoes. So it's very strange. And I don't think they're volunteer Sungolds. Now these guys here are kind of being more yellow, and these again were ones that I rescued. They were all in one grow bag I found, and then I've just moved them around since. So these guys here along with these, now these are going a little bit more yellow. They're like some of my best plants. But then if we go over here, don't mind all my weeds. This is the bag that I originally found all the volunteers in, and I was able to cover one during the cold snap, and then this is the one that just has been out in the garden the entire time. So this has just completely self-seeded and grown right here in this bag, right where it sits. And you can see it's just like prolific. I mean, it just keeps setting flowers, tons of clusters. The only downside is I've gotten really bad leaf-footed bugs, so they are just all over it. I hope I'm getting ahead of them. Oh, nope, there's one now. I'm gonna have to get my vinegar cup. So a lot of these they're getting before I can, but this has still just been wild. Oh, this might be a good one here. No, you can see they've gotten this one too. Whoops. See, they just suck the fruit, so then it's not very tasty for us, which is a real bummer. But at this point, I'm kind of leaving this as a trap crop, I guess, because they are just covered up on here. So hopefully I can get ahead of them and we can actually enjoy some of this. So I really have no idea what this is. I'm still kind of guessing Everglade, but the fruit's too big. So I don't know. If you have any ideas, let me know. Thank you all so much for watching and being here. I truly appreciate it. As you can tell, the sun is starting to beat on my face and make me squint. I did not bring a hat out, so it's time for me to get back inside. But as always, please drop any comments or questions down below. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe, and I will be posting a follow-up video once I get into harvesting some more and giving updates on taste, if I would grow again, thoughts, all that kind of stuff. But hope you guys have a fantastic day and happy growing.